This is the story of a man who lived a life he couldn't imagine, a life that no one would ever believe. Thomas Montgomery. Thomas was a 47-year-old father, husband, and factory worker, a man like any other. Or so it seemed. One night, bored and curious, he decided to enter a chat room. There, he met a girl named Jessie, who claimed to be an 18-year-old high school senior from West Virginia. For Thomas, this was the beginning of something he had never experienced before. His world was about to change, but not in the way anyone could have predicted. As time went by, Thomas, who in the chat presented himself as Tommy, a young, muscular, and good-looking Marine, became obsessed with Jessie. For him, it was more than just a virtual relationship. Tommy and Jessie would exchange photos, videos, and love letters. But the truth is, this love was based on lies. Thomas Montgomery, Tommy, started living a double life. He felt young again, powerful, in control of a fantasy that made him forget his real life. But everything started to spiral out of control when his real wife, Cindy, discovered the love letters Jessie had sent to her husband. Furious, she wrote to Jessie, exposing Thomas's true identity, his real age, the fact that he wasn't young, wasn't a Marine, and certainly wasn't who Jessie thought he was. The fantasy was shattered. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. In the midst of this drama, another person entered the picture. Brian Barrett, a 22-year-old coworker of Thomas's, started chatting with Jessie as well. Unlike Thomas, Brian was who he said he was, young, confident, and real. He became competition for Thomas in the virtual world. This led to growing jealousy and anger in Thomas, anger that would soon consume him. The situation escalated quickly. Thomas couldn't bear the thought of Jessie preferring someone else. In his mind, this wasn't just a betrayal. It was a threat to the life he had built for himself, even if it was built on lies. In September 2006, this jealousy reached its tragic climax. Thomas decided that the only way to solve this was to eliminate Brian. And that's exactly what he did. In the parking lot of their workplace, Thomas waited for Brian to finish his shift, and in cold blood, he shot and killed him. The man who had once lived a mundane life as a family man was now a murderer. But, like all crimes, the truth eventually comes out. After the murder, investigators quickly connected the dots between the online love triangle and the motive behind Brian's death. Thomas's actions didn't go unnoticed, and soon he was arrested and charged with the murder of Brian Barrett. But you want to know the real twist of this story? Jessie, the girl both men had been fighting for, wasn't who she claimed to be either. She wasn't an 18-year-old high school girl, but a middle-aged woman named Mary Sheeler, a mother of two, who had been living out her own fantasy online. She had manipulated both Thomas and Brian from behind a computer screen. Thomas Montgomery was convicted of the murder of Brian Barrett in 2007 and sentenced to 20 years in prison. The man who had once lived a life of quiet anonymity was now infamous, his life forever destroyed by a web of lies and deceit that started in an online chat room. This is a story of obsession, deception, and the tragic consequences of living a life disconnected from reality. What started as harmless messages turned into an all-consuming fantasy that led to jealousy, violence, and death. A chilling reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control when we lose ourselves in the virtual world. This was the case of Thomas Montgomery, the man who lived two lives, one online and one in reality, until they both collided with devastating consequences.
Meets a girl online, ready to believe. Her screen name, Tall Hot Blonde.
She goes, hey, cowboy, how you doing? I said, hey, tall, how are you?
When you first see this thing come up, and she says hello, and it says tall, hot, blonde, what are you thinking?
So I checked out her bio to see it. It says she was 18, so I figured I'll talk back to her. You know, she's probably a nice-looking girl.
There is one catch that almost ended the connection before it began. Montgomery was in a teen chat room, and his profile reveals his real age. Tall Hot Blonde calls him on it right away.
So I panicked. That's when I told her, oh, I'm playing on my dad's name.
So that's how you went from being a 46-year-old man that you were
Yeah, to 18
to
years
an
old.
18-year-old
Yep, Marine.
boy.